We are living in very exciting times. And as I'm sure some of us can attest to, and if we've been paying attention, there's not a day that goes by that we don't witness something as it relates to coming into or repossessing this knowledge and accessing different levels of consciousness. There's not a day that doesn't go by that something new isn't revealed. And we've been pointing these things out periodically as we've as we've been doing these daily sessions, and they are elevating almost to the point moment by moment. And I'm sure that Nasi Aharone, at least in our discussions, as brief as they may be, and as infrequent as they are, every time we talk, we're revealing and testifying of some new revelation, some new inspiration that has come. And today is no different. Yesterday, Nasik brought the subject, the power to define that will change our predicament. And he made the distinction between power versus force. And if we call, it's on the recording. You know, he read from, I believe it was page 132 into page 133 of Power versus Force. And during the course of that particular dissertation, he made the statement as he focused in on the difference between the simulated reality and what he has termed the organic reality, that these two things have been interchanged, and the goal of our enemies is to keep us diverted from the organic reality and the organic order, and keep our minds focused, or keep our consciousness and our attention, I should say, focused on the simulated reality. Now, understanding the difference between the organic reality and the simulated reality makes all the difference in the world.
Come on, Eitai, come on.
When we read, especially as it relates to the scriptures, and if you know Nasik and I, we are very intense in terms of our focus on these scriptures because we see the same things in the scriptures and we see the value of it. And, you know, as it relates to setting a prophetic framework from which to operate from, and indeed that was the intent of our ancestors, not when we were in the state of unconsciousness.
Right, right.
Because we were fooled and deceived by that particular book, just like everybody else was.
Everybody else was.
And so we had not reached the state of consciousness that would allow us to do what we are doing recently and what we are doing today. And again, that's namely making the distinction between the simulated reality and the organic reality. The Bible deals with that fundamentally from the very beginning. And Nasi went back to the Genesis and pointed out, again, Another example where on the surface, when you read just the surface and the literal context, you get an entirely different meaning. But if you understand that this was referring to the simulated reality and as opposed to the organic reality, you get an entirely different understanding and a clarity on the prophetic framework, sequence, events, history, etc., and so on. So
No, absolutely, Eitai.
if you're not on, if you have not achieved that level of consciousness, what will happen is what has happened throughout history, that when these doctrines are established from a biblical standpoint, they are fraught with contradictions. They are fraught
Yes,
with paradoxes
there you go.
that,
Absolutely.
that, that cannot be solved either with the mind, which is the only navigational device that individuals have in unconsciousness.
Ah, excellent point. Excellent point.
We have to understand this. Now, see, these things are so clear now that a child can understand this. So, and when we get to the point of the scriptures, it says, "A child shall lead them." We have to return back to this state of undeveloped, uncivilized, uneducated, unprogrammed uh, state of consciousness. That's what that's talking about.
Yeah.
That's what that's talking about. We have to return to that state where uh, we have not been tampered with, and we can see this very clearly. Um, and it's laid out, family. Once you solve the paradoxes, once you solve all of the contradictions, this thing is so simple that a fool couldn't err. But if you're going to use the mind, things will remain complex. Things will remain sophisticated beyond our ability to make any sense of it. So we're going to start out talking today about this divine paragraph. We're going to roll this thing back because, again, like I said, something new has been revealed. And, you know, Nasi said that the document that he sent is going to show us how we're going to get our inheritance. And indeed, this is the goal. The goal is to bring this dominion to an end and to recover our stuff, get our stuff back. We are currently reconnecting to the knowledge that is going to allow us to do that. There is no way he can make that statement with the confidence and the certainty that he made the statement unless he had the knowledge of it. That's what gives you confidence. Knowledge, not faith. We ain't on no
Knowledge,
faith thing.
absolutely, Eitai. Knowledge.
Right.
Not right.
Not the way that they are defining faith, or faith has been defined for us. Remember, Nasi pointed out to us that what Abba said, that the power to define will change our predicament, and the power to define in the hands of evil man is a weapon of oppression and a satanic control method. And
Right.
we've been stuck on this faith stuff. When something has been presented, when knowledge is presented to us, now see, we pause and decide whether we believe it or not.
There you go. There you go.
And that is simply a faculty of the mind. That is a characteristic of the mind. Intuition, intuition, inner knowledge. When you allow truth and accurate, genuine knowledge to bypass the mind, then it will activate something in you that will be your internal witness that what you just heard was 100% the truth and can have confidence in it. Now, I'm talking from experience. I didn't read that in no book. Everyone that has experienced that can testify of it. Can testify of it. And this is the realm of reality that we are in. If in fact we have transitioned from what we've again defined as the simulated reality into the organic reality. There is no guesswork on that level. So this is where we're at. So we're going to lay out as an introduction the central paradox in the scriptures. And it's going to be related, in this case, to eating, and to food. Because we pointed out yesterday, just, by way of synchronicity, Bakuria asked for a little more clarity on this simulated reality. And as it related to the solar system. And again, we had gone over this and pointed out how inefficient this solar system actually is. So we're going to lay out this paradox, this apparent contradiction, as the scriptures illustrate this. Reading from Genesis 1:29. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. And indeed, we as vegans, we take this, to be gospel in terms of how it is we govern ourselves as it relates to eating. And now, see, we have always understood this to be natural.
Absolutely right.
We've always understood this to be natural. But we've been pointing out that what seems to be natural in the simulated reality is only what we've become accustomed to.
Excellent point.
What we have become used to, what we have become programmed to understand is natural. And so it can be natural, but not organic.
Right.
Yeah.
It can be natural, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's organic. This is huge that we understand this. So this term meat in Genesis 1:29, to you it shall be meat, is the word okla.
Right.
And and again, it's related to the word okel, ukal,
Right.
and it means to consume, to devour, to eat. So we're clear on this, all right, that this relates to food. Moving forward, now Genesis 9:2 and 3. and the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth. Now, why is this the case? Why do the beasts have to fear me? We're going to connect all of this up now. Why do they have to fear me? Read on. And upon every fowl of the air. Man, birds too. And upon all that moveth upon the earth. And upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand they are delivered. Now, we're going to see that this just doesn't have to do with dominion. And with our stewardship, now see, of
Yeah,
creatures.
right,
Because it says in verse 3, every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. Now that's the
right,
same word, okla.
right.
And then it goes on to say, even as the green herb have I
Right,
given you all things. So
right.
something is wrong here, family. We've learned something wrong.
Dang.
This is equating eating herbs with eating flesh, is it not?
Absolutely.
Dang.
So we have a paradox. We have something that is contradictory here, and it can't be ignored. It has to be solved. But again, you will not solve it unless you come to the realization, and it is an aha moment that you must have here
Yeah,
that tells you in some way what you thought was natural is actually something that has been simulated. There is no way, Nasik, that this is wholeness.
ain't no way.
It's no way that this speaks of singularity. This speaks of duality. So it should get
Absolutely.
our attention. But up until now, we've either ignored this or we've explained this verse away. We've reasoned, we've rationalized this, and that is a function of the mind.
Absolutely, Eitai.
Psalms 107. Fools, because of their transgression and because of their iniquities, are afflicted. Now, we've connected this with the Kabbalah, where it warns us that you will not solve paradoxes by omitting, family, the stuff that doesn't agree with your doctrine or the stuff that doesn't agree with your practice. That would make you what the Kabbalah refers to as a half-wise fool, because because you can't make sense and you can't solve the paradox. You just ignore or omit or explain away the things that doesn't go along with what it is that you're doing. We can't do that. That would be foolish. That is omitting the other side that we all must admit is there. And because of this transgression and iniquity, people are afflicted. Listen, their soul abhorreth all manner of meat. Wouldn't that define a vegan?
Yes, it would.
And they draw near unto the gates of death. Every one of us knows someone that has transitioned or that is close to transitioning that is 100% vegan.
Eitai, everybody up in here that has transitioned was vegan.
That's right. This is a paradox. But what do? What is the normal? Is to explain it away.
That's exactly what we've done too.
Then they cried unto the Lord in their trouble, and he saveth them out of their distresses. He sent his word and healed them and delivered them from destruction. So it has to be a new word, family. It has to be new knowledge. We cannot stay within this, in these parameters where we reason and rationalize and explain away obvious paradoxes and contradictions. There has to be a step up into what? Another level of knowledge and intelligence. This is what we've been doing. Genesis 4, and Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. She again bare his brother Abel. Abel was a keeper of sheep. Listen, Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. Now, we pointed out when we went over this before, the Lord didn't command this. It just said that Cain did this thing on his own. And it was the fruit of the ground. And Abel, he also brought the firstlings of his flocks and the fat thereof. We're going to focus on this and the fat thereof, this fat, because what we've been emphasizing is that you must look at things from the energetic aspect. You must understand how things work energetically from the energetic aspect, because that is the only true reality. The physical reality itself, humanity itself, is simulated. That's a simulated reality. So we must look at things from an energetic aspect. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering. Well, wait a minute. That was meat. That's a paradox. And you can explain it away or rationalize it however you want to, but that's the fact. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and his offering, but unto Cain, the vegetarian, apparently, or the vegan, he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell, just like we would be, because we thought we only focused on Genesis 1:29, right?
Right.
So this word fat is the word kelev rather, and it means the richest, choicest, best part of anything. So we look at fat of humans, and we know that fat, we're going to find out that fat in humans is developed to what? Store energy. The same
Right.
way as the fat of beasts is to store energy. And there is an element that corresponds to fat in plants that what? Stores energy. So we pointed out that both cosmic and solar energy is constantly being drawn back unto itself, the source. So we have to figure out what source we're going to focus on. We pointed out, family, that solar energy that comes from the sun and is absorbed by plants and herbs is a very inefficient process, because the plants only store 1% of the energy that they absorb from the sun. So if 1,000 units of light energy is absorbed during a period of time by a plant, only 10 units is stored as energy, and then the 90%, 990 units, is lost back into the environment and goes back to the source. So of that 1%, the herbivores or the vegans and the vegetarians, they eat the plant that only has what? 1% of the 1,000 or 10 units. They only keep 1% of the energy, and the 90% or 9 units is what? Returned back to the source. Then the lion comes along and eats the herbivore. The carnivore comes along and eats the herbivore, which what? Has only retained 1% or 1 unit. The lion gets that 1 unit, only retains 1% of that, which is 0.1 in return. That is a very vain and inefficient system. As a matter of fact, the name the name Abel or Havel means what? Vanity.
Vanity.
So the scriptures is pointing out to you the vanity of not just eating meat, but the vanity of the whole process and the inefficiency of the whole process. We must see this.
Can
So
it?
this is the solar system. So the statement that I made was the enclosed solar system, which is represented in the scripture as the garden and represented in metaphysics and occult science as the box, locks humans into a highly competitive, imperfect, inefficient, repetitive, self-refueling, self-perpetuating cycle that features work, avad, or worship, as it is as it is uh, interpreted in the scriptures, as the highest expression and sole purpose of existence. The reason the plant takes in the solar energy in the first place is so it could do its work internally to remain a plant. That's where most of the energy that those 10 that's where most of that energy is going.
Right,
Just,
Eitai. Right.
just to sustain it. And so when the herbivore gets hungry, the same process is repeated. When the carnivore gets hungry, the same process is repeated. So all of these things are on the same level of inefficiency and vanity.
Eitai, that is so profound that you can't even imagine that when you consume something, all it is doing is that percent that you get from the consumption of a plant or an animal, it is doing the work inside to maintain its existence. Beyond that, that's the work it do.
That's
That's
vanity.
why the concept, see, anytime, now this is why the concept of fasting
Yes,
was so vital because it gave the organs a chance to what? Renew themselves
that's correct.
without having to work to renew it.
They had to rest, Nasi.
Absolutely. That make all the sense in the world.
So this is how this connects us to the prophetic Shabbat, which was the focus of the first time that we went around with this and we looked at it. So yes, this is we have to know that plant that carnivore is no different than herbivore. Herbivore is no different than plant.
Right.
Because it is the same inefficient system of the same inefficient process, rather, of the solar system, a vain process, just eating for eating's sake, really. So we pointed out that this was really an illustration of the simulated reality
Right.
because it's contradictory, it's self-defeating, it's paradoxical. And how are you ever going to all you're doing is maintaining the same level. There is no improvement. There is no evolution. There is no ascension in this process.
That's profound.
We have to see this. So we said that food energy is stored in fat and is utilized by humans for physical work. Now, this is, why it says, and the fat thereof. It's giving us a hint to what? Look closer into this process, this scientific process, this solar process. And we must admit it's inefficient. It is vanity. Food energy, no matter how you get it, from direct sunlight or, in the case of the plant, from the soil and water and sunlight, it is stored for the work of the plant, the herbivore or the carnivore, for
Right.
thermal energy, and it's all stored as what we call fat, which is the choicest part of of whatever organism you're looking at, because that is its battery. That's what it needs to operate. So the conversion of energy in humans, in plants, in animals is what we're looking at, family. Everybody see that?
Yes. Yes.
So let us move forward. Isaiah 40 says, however, in terms of this energy, the energy that is required for true life, now see, for truly organic life, but they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not be faint. Now, we can we can claim that all we want to, but ain't none of us flying. Let's get that straight right now. When we run, when we run based on this solar system, we do get weary.
We do get weary.
And when we walk, we do get faint. And not seek just explain to us that whether you are flying, you don't have to be flying, running, or walking. The mere fact that you eat is causing you to work and get weary. It's causing your organs, your body, your whole system.
Whole system. And at some point, Eitai, that system have to break down.
It's going to break down because it is not being elevated or renewed in any
That's
way,
what.
in any significant way, Nasi. And
Right.
you explain that the intermittent fasting paradoxically causes renewal.
Right.
Not only rest, but renewal. You're going to have to come back on that too, Nasi, and bring those points out at a later date again and re-emphasize that.
Right, right.
Because this is very important, family. So when we did this the first time, the question was asked, what does a God eat? What does a divine being eat? We see what humans eat. They can either eat plants, animals, or plants and animals. Now see, humans even eat carnivores.
Right, right.
But it's no different, family. It's no different from an energetic standpoint. We might frown on eating dog, but we gotta admit that there are people on the planet that eat dog.
Yeah.
Some of our people eat raccoons.
Listen, some people, will eat what they call beef, or
Right.
they will eat a cow, but they frown on eating a horse.
Oh, absolutely. Right. And a horse don't eat no meat.
Right, right.
So this is we have to step back. We got to press pause. And besides how we've been programmed to believe and programmed to understand things, we must recognize, like we said at the outset, the difference between the simulated reality that we have all been programmed to in one way or another. Whether we eat all herbs and vegetables or whether we eat dogs, rats, and cats. It is all the same. It's a hard thing for us to hear.
Yeah, but it's just like that.
But prove it to me scientifically from an energetic standpoint. This is what our ancestors were on. And we've just outlined that. So the question was, what does a God eat? And we're going to expand on that today even more. In the Kabbalion, it reminds us as we are solving these paradoxes or in the process of solving these paradoxes, keep your mind ever on the star. Keep your mind ever on the star. But let your eyes watch over your footsteps. What does that tell you? You're the star.
Mm-hmm.
Can't be saying nothing else. Lest you fall into the mire by reason of your upward gaze. They're not telling you to look at no stars in the sky like that. Whatever is up, Nasi, is down.
Yeah.
As above, so below.
Yeah.
So we don't want our gaze to go upward when we're talking about cosmic things. We don't want our gaze to go upward for too long when we're talking about solar things, because all these things are within us. This is the most important thing that you will ever conceptualize and realize.
Yeah, you're the observer.
You are the observer. You have to switch from being the observed to the observer, from being the
Right.
created to the creator. There is no other way, Bakuria. There is no other way, family.
Right.
You will never actualize this, never experience this. This is not for humans. Trying to what? Appease, like Nasik said, or please, or uh, or gain the favor of a god. First of all, you're never gonna do it. You're not gonna work your way to that.
It's never gonna happen, right?
It's never gonna happen.
Anytime the God that you trying to please, he tell you in the 65th chapter, I think it is,
Yes.
of Isaiah. No, it's the 45th chapter, yeah. The 45th or the 65th, where he talk about, I create light, I create darkness, and I create evil. Now, how you gonna please the guy that's gonna what? Tell you he create evil, but he gonna have you do always got to do right.
Right. Eat.
You ain't pleasing him, I'm sorry.
Eat meat, don't eat meat. Eat vegetables and meat. How are you gonna work how you gonna please a God like that?
Ain't gonna happen.
You have to know that these contradictions, these paradoxes were put in there intentionally. To when you came to a level of consciousness that you woke up sufficiently, you would say, wait, press pause here. Some ain't right. And you have to begin to distinguish between the simulated reality, what you've become accustomed to, and the organic reality, what we are evolving, ascending toward. It is away, Bakuria, from the solar system and the simulated reality and toward the cosmic system, the organic reality. That is the movement.
Mhm.
The star, understanding the science of a star. And as Do David had emphasized earlier, these black holes is going to be key in solving these paradoxes. The universe may have been born inside a black hole. We can remove the may have been. The universe, we know it. The universe, and that's the multiverse, was born inside a black hole. And the black holes in our own cosmos might be birthing new universes of their own. So we know by understanding the science of this, the birth, death of stars, and that cycle, we know perfectly that these aren't just suppositions, that these aren't just theories, that this is in fact how these things go. Our ancestors told us, and they wouldn't have told us to look at the stars if there was any doubt that those would be a guide to us, a a um, a faithful guide to us in understanding about who and what we are and how we operate. Genesis 37:9. And he, Joseph, dreamed yet another dream and told it to his brethren and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. Now, this is his way of telling us that we are the ones that are over all systems. Now, see, because we created them all.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And as creators, we rule them all. We govern them all and all of their processes. But again, a human can't even conceptualize that.
No.
A worshiper, a servant, a worker, a toiler can't even conceptualize that.
Dang.
Exodus 32:13. Remember Abram, Isaac, and Israel, thy servants, to whom thou swearest by thine own self, and saidest unto him, I will multiply your seed as stars of heaven, as the stars of heaven. And all this land, this is our inheritance, that I have spoken of will I give unto your seed, and they shall inherit it forever. Humans trapped in the solar system are not going to inherit a thing. Cosmic beings are going to inhabit it all. We're going to prove this. Numbers 24, 1 through 9, 17 through 19. Now, this is when Balaam went and was hired to curse the children of Israel. And when Balaam saw that it pleased the Lord to bless Israel, he went not as the other times to seek enchantments, but he set his face toward the wilderness. Now, this is a very important concept, this concept of the wilderness that we'll get to later on. How many years did the children of Israel wander in the wilderness?
40.
40.
40.
Right? When Jesus or Yeshua was resurrected, he appeared to his disciples and to different people in his resurrected state for 40 days. Now see, he fasted in the wilderness 40 days, correct?
40 days, right.
It rained 40 days and 40 nights
Right.
during the time of Noah. All of this is not separate. It's the same story being told and repeated over and over again.
Right, right.
He set his face toward the wilderness, and Balaam lifted up his eyes and saw Israel abiding in tents according to their tribes. Now, family, this puts it in the West. These tents are teepees. And the Spirit of God came upon him, and he took up his parable and said, Balaam, son of Beor, have said that the man whose eyes are open have said. He have said, which heard the words of God, which saw the vision of the Almighty, falling into a trance, but having his eyes open. How goodly are thy tents, O Jacob, and thy tabernacles, O Israel. Now again, he divides this Nasi between Jacob and Israel.
Right.
Jacob is Israel.
Yes.
But
yes.
It's a difference. Jacob, Israel is the transitioned nature
There you
of
go.
Jacob. So
There you go.
we must understand this. As the valleys are they spread forth, as the gardens by the rivers side, as the trees of line aloes, which the Lord hath planted, and his cedar trees beside the waters. He shall pour the water out of his buckets. Now, this is referring to now Aquarius, the age of Aquarius, the water bearer.
Right.
The move from Saturn to Jupiter, which is the bridge to Aquarius. I want you all to write that down. Saturn, Jupiter, and Aquarius. And when you get a chance, Google that and see if I'm not right. See if it doesn't come up. This is all related to astronomy and astrology. It tells us, keep your mind ever on the star. Focus your attention on the star. And his seed shall be in many waters. And his king shall be higher than Agag, and his kingdom shall be exalted. God brought him forth out of Egypt. He hath, as it were, the strength of an unicorn, and he shall eat up the nations, his enemies. That's a different kind of diet, now see.
Oh yeah.
Now, again, we're not talking about no cannibalism. Let's keep this energetically. And do you all remember when we looked at the film clip of Raiders of the Lost Ark yesterday, and saw how that fire ate them individuals up and consumed them? And we connected it to James, the 5th chapter, Zechariah, the 14th chapter, where it says that the fire would eat them up and consume their flesh, right?
Right.
And Malkiel pointed out uh, Moses and the burning bush. He was looking at not no vision of God, he was looking at the vision of his own divinity.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That fire can't consume us. Why? Neuromelanin and eumelanin. No type of radiation. We conduct that. We absorb that. We absorb all light. And we are the source of all light and energy. Must realize that. Verse 9. He lay down as a lion. Now we said that the lion was a symbol of what? The sun, right?
Mm-hmm.
The lion is the symbol of the sun. And as a great lion, there is a greater, something greater than what? The sun. A greater light source. Who shall stir him up? Well, the answer is us. We're going to prove it. We're stirring it up. We're awakening this knowledge. And now see, every day we're getting corresponding confirmation.
Cain, what scripture is this here that you read there from?
It's coming from Numbers, the 24th chapter. I read verse 1 through 9. I'm still on 9. And then I'm going to skip down to verse 17 through 19.
Gotcha.
Everybody with me?
Okay.
So the lion is representative of the sun and the solar system. But there is a greater lion. That family, we are stirring this up, this greater lion up. Because when we taught on this the last time, an article came out that turned the science of what they understood about stars and black holes on its head, turned it upside down. Well, now see, this is us. This is us doing what? Destroying the simulated reality,
right,
that exists under the that exists under the solar system, and what? Creating the cosmic reality.
That's what's happening, Eitai.
Or organic reality. If y'all can't see this, you might as well get a call.
Right. Okay.
This is exactly what is happening. And it happens consistently. We got back on this subject yesterday. I'm going to show y'all something else that corresponds to what I'm talking about and proves, to me at least, beyond a shadow of a doubt, Nasik, that we are doing this. Blessed is he that blesseth thee, and cursed is he that curseth thee. Verse 17. I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star of Jacob. Keep your attention focused on the star at all times. This is you, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab, and destroy all the children of Seth. We showed y'all how that's going to be done. If it's a star, now see, it's going to have to do, it has to do with solar, I'm sorry, not solar heat alone, but cosmic heat and energy. Cosmic energy, cosmic fire. And Edom shall be a possession. Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies, and Israel shall do valiantly, not valiantly. Now, we're going to go back. We're going to, in a future date, we're going to talk about Edom, Seir, Moab. We're going to talk about all that. Set or Sheth or Sheath or Shape. We've already talked about that a little bit, but we're going to come back and put all this together. Moab, all of this. And we are going to know beyond the shadow of a doubt. This is not guesswork at this point, family. It's not guesswork. And we have to have confidence in that. We're going to be giving you all proof after fact that is verifiable. And so we see a representation from the movie Coming to America, appropriately titled, of the flag of Zamunda. And it has a picture of the lion, that's the great lion or the greater lion, destroying the lesser lion of the solar system. Do we see that?
Okay.
Genesis 49, 8 and 9. Judah, thou art whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be on the neck of thine enemies. Where are our enemies located at in the highest concentration? In the east or in the west? That would be the west. So in order for your hand to be on the neck of your enemies, you would have to be in the west. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. There are other children that are connected to us, but the foremost, the eldest child is Judah. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. Thou art gone up. It has to be a high. Now, what does a lion do with the prey?
What you say, that what we do with the prey, huh? He devoured, don't he?
He devours it. He eats it. But we're going to have to, but it's telling us now, see, you're going to have to go up to another level.
Mm-hmm.
Listen,
Mm-hmm.
he stooped down, he couched as a lion, and as an old lion, it don't even mean old like that. It means
Right.
great lion, just like it does we read in Numbers 24. This great lion, who shall rouse him up? Who's going to stir him up? It's us. We're doing it. Same question. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be. So somebody's going to have to go up first. Someone must be the he-goat. Someone must be the great lion that goes up. That is us. If you accept it, if you can accept it, that is us. We are doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So when we began to teach on this the first time, family, this article came out during the same time period that again turned the former understanding of stars and black holes upside down. And by Courier, this is what we pointed out yesterday in response to your question, which was, it was inspired by the ancestors. You have to know this. The weirdest black hole ever found is growing so fast that it defies the laws of physics. Who's rousing up and stirring up
Mm-hmm.
this great lion?
Come on, Eitai. Absolutely. We are.
This
Mm-hmm.
is the great lion here. We ask, what does a god eat? Here it comes. The black hole eats a star. So it shows a star coming in the vicinity of the black hole. And this one is supermassive, the one that they found. And it pulls this thing in, actually pulls it apart. It lights up what is called the accretion disk, which shines and gives off light more than any sun, 100-fold, 100 times the intensity, Nasi, of solar energy. And not only
Now,
that, once it consumes the star, it discharges or exhales or breathes out this cosmic dust or stardust. All right? And it shoots it back toward the earth.
Okay.
Eitai, make sure you send me that article, okay?
You got it. I just sent it to you, Nasi.
Oh, that's okay. Great.
For class, so you got it. The material that surrounds the black hole forms a white hot spiraling feature called the accretion disk. Now that is right here in frame 3. In some cases, this accretion disk can outshine the entire galaxy 100-fold.
Wow.
I'm going to read that again.
Wow.
Is that not the great lion?
That's the great
Right.
line.
Mm-hmm.
100-fold, the entire galaxy. It is paradoxical, but even though no light can escape from the black hole, its accretion disk can be extremely bright. Well, that ain't no paradox to us. So we talked about this, and Nasi, they said that everything that we think that we knew about the growth of a black hole has been flipped on its head.
We know it. We know it.
Right. Scientists have discovered a massive anomaly out in space that is defying the law of physics as we've known it. But family, you all have to be a witness. We've never had to go back and change anything about what we've been telling you. Not the prophetic framework, not the prophetic sequence, not the science that we've presented to you. It's just what? Fed right in smoothly to what we've been saying all along. Is that not the case?
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Calibrated.
This new black hole is called the WISE 1029 plus 0501. This is the galaxy that this black hole is. It's the WISE. It has to do with wisdom. They know this. It's in a modestly sized galaxy, which, based on previous assumptions, should play host to a smallish black hole. See, they're basing their knowledge now, see, on the solar system. That the one that eats the most, what? Grows the most. They found catfish, I think in Louisiana not too long ago, at 600 some pounds. So it was probably eating what it wanted to eat for as long as it wanted to eat it. And it was what? A big fish in a big pond. So they were basing it on the solar system. And we were basing the studies on the cosmic system. They thought the solar system was the most efficient system. Not so. This is why they think, because they're still stuck on the simulated model of the solar system, they're still under those parameters. They think that this is somehow paradoxical. But our ancestors always knew that energy, cosmic energy, what? Operated much differently than solar energy. Cosmic energy operates much different than solar energy. So again, we're not surprised. You know, we don't have to scramble and readjust anything. This fits perfectly with what it is that we've been saying all along. And it has developed organically. It's developed organically. So here we go as we close out, family. And we're going to end on the new revelation. We're going to end on the new revelation knowledge that has come about yesterday. So we're going to lay this thing out from a scriptural standpoint, so that again we keep emphasizing the prophetic sequence and keep showing you all that that was the first thing we've claimed, that was the first thing that the ancestors gave us, was this prophetic blueprint. And it has served for the framework and a platform and a foundation for everything that we've done up until this point. And it continues to be a reliable source, a reliable blueprint. We start out with Genesis 1, verses 13 through 19. And the evening and the morning, I want you all to write this down in big letters if you're taking notes. Third day. All right? Very important. We pointed out how the number 40 was important. This third day is very important too, because again, it is very much attached to the establishing a prophetic framework based on numbers. And the numbers, Malkiel, as you know,
Mm-hmm.
do not lie. They do not lie.
Right.
You can
Absolutely
rely on.
not.
You can rely on them. The evening
Mm-hmm.
in the morning was the third day, and God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for what? Signs and seasons, and for days and years. Let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth." And so it was. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. Now, in times past, we have defined the greater light that rules the day as what? The sun, the lesser light that rules the night as the moon.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to come back to this because the moon is not actually a light, is it? It just reflects what? The solar
Sun.
light.
The sun.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide light from darkness. Well, this is duality, this division.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that this has to be what? Part of the simulated reality.
Mm-hmm.
And God saw that it was good, and the evening and the morning were what? The fourth day. Write down the fourth day. Now remember, we said that these weren't days like that, that these are yomim. And Malkiel, they correspond directly to the uh, the multiverse and what the scriptures, what sacred writings refer to as the seven heavens, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Or the seven realms. We've gone over this. Genesis 22, and it came to pass after these things that God did what? Tempt Abraham. This is temptation. This is a test. And he said unto Abraham, and he said, he said unto Abraham, Abraham, and he said, Behold, here I am. He said, Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee to the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering. Offer him there for a burnt offering upon the mountains which I will tell you. Write down the word burnt offering. And Abraham rose up early in the morning, saddled his ass, took two of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up and went unto the place of which God had told him. And on the third day, write third day down next to burnt offering, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off.
Mm.
On the third day,
Mm.
and it was Genesis 31 and 22. By the way, this page is 21, family. I just want y'all to look. This page is 21. What page we on now?
24.
We just read Genesis. Now we on page 22. We just read
Oh,
Genesis
22.
22. We just read
Mm-hmm.
Genesis 31 and 22. It was told to
Mm-hmm.
Laban on the third day that Jacob fled. That was after he was done working for Laban. Are y'all with me?
Mm-hmm.
Genesis 34, 25 through 29. And it came to pass on the third day, when they were sore, that two of the sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brethren. Now, Dinah it relates to the word Dana or the word Dan, judgment. Are you all with me?
Mm-hmm.
Took each man his sword and came upon the city boldly and did what? Slew all the males. And they slew Hamor and Shechem, his son, with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house. Look, I'm getting ready to show y'all something. See, they trying to put Dinah. Now, remember the royal family in England. There was a wedding that was more publicized than Prince Harry. What was the princess's name?
Diana.
Ah, what happened to her?
She was murdered
They took her out.
They took her out.
on August
Let me show y'all. Let me show y'all something.
13th.
See, they want to do the same with this sister, but this is really Dinah. This is really Dinah, our sister. Are y'all hearing me?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have to take her out of this house. All of this family is directly related to our inheritance.
Wow.
I want y'all to take down these scripture references and study them. This is what the ancestors have laid out for us. They slew Hamor and Shechem, and they took their sister out of that house and went out. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain and spoiled the city because they had defiled their sister.
Man.
They took their sheep and their oxen and their asses, and that was what was in the city, and that which was in the field, and all their wealth, and all their little ones and their wives took they captive, and spoiled even all that was in the house. Y'all know what house has our stuff? Buckingham House, Buckingham Palace. Nasi laid this out for us, that they are the bank of the world, the Bank of England, and that royal family. Leviticus 19. Are y'all seeing this, family? Did I lose anybody? Now that's on the third day. We're going to bring this all together. Leviticus 19, and if ye offer a sacrifice of peace offerings unto the Lord, ye shall offer it at your own will. At your own will. Ain't nobody asked Cain, to make no offering? Able either. It shall be eaten the same day ye offer it, and on the morrow, if aught remain, until what? The third day, it shall be burned in fire. Are y'all getting this?
Okay.
And if it be eaten at all on the third day, it is abominable. It shall not be accepted. Continuing on. On the third day, family, continuing on. Now listen, this has to do with us. Hosea 6, 2 and 3. Come, family, let us return unto the Lord. What does that mean? Let us go back to the source of wholeness, singularity, divinity. For he hath torn us, and he will heal us. He has smitten us, but he will bind us up. That's talking about the healing, Bakuria, of this flaw, of this wound. You all with me?
Mm-hmm.
Listen to this, Malkiel. After 2 days, he will revive us.
Mm.
The 2 days are the first 2 phases of the evolutionary process, symbolized as the first 2 heavens that we said, the astral plane.
Mm-hmm.
You're still in the simulated reality, but that is where you're going to be revived. Are you all with me?
Mm-hmm. Come on.
But in the third day, we talked about this yesterday. That is the transitional stage into what? The cosmic plane. He will raise us up. That is the lion going up for the prey. Judah going up first, family. Did I lose anybody?
Eitai.
Yes.
It's not I kept looking at this third day, and I said something is connected with this that brought us to this point. What did that simulated reality just observed on Rishon? Easter.
That's right.
And so-called Jesus rose on the third day.
Hey, Maki, I'm not gonna allow you to teach my class, man. I'm a mute. I'm a mute you.
I'm sorry, Shows.
I'm a mute you. I'm a mute you from here on out.
Oh man,
You got it though,
this is
brother. You got
this
it.
is great.
Very good. Is
This is
everybody
great.
seeing this? Is everybody seeing this?
Dang.
Hey.
Come on now. After 2 days, he will revive us. That is when it says after 2 days that we have what? Transcended the astral plane. And we're in the third heaven. That is the transitional stage into the cosmic plane. And then he's going to raise us up, family, through the different stages or through the different realms, the 4th heaven, the 5th heaven, the 6th heaven, 7th. Are you all with me?
Okay.
He will
Hey.
raise us up and we shall live in his sight.
Mm-hmm.
This is true eternal light. You will not get it. What? If you remain in the astral plane, the solar
Right.
system, the simulated reality. You're not living. You are actually dead there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Dang.
Then shall we know if we follow on. This is the question. Are you going to follow on to know the Lord, to know your higher self, to know
Mm-hmm.
your divinity, to know the source from which you've emanated from? Or are you or does your programming have you scared, in
Right.
fear and frightened and holding on to that which you have been programmed to know and to understand as being natural? Then shall we know. This is the question. If we follow on to know the Lord. His going forth is prepared, listen, family, as the morning.
Mm-hmm.
His going forth is prepared as the morning. This is a key. And he shall come out, and he shall come rather unto us as the rain. Now, again, you're going to have to go under the surface of this scripture to understand what this is talking about. As the latter and the former rain unto the earth. There's a hidden prophecy. In a few days, I'm going to bring you all back to this about this former and latter rain. It is hidden in various books of the Bible. All you have to do is go to Bible Gateway and put in the word latter, former rain, and it will give you all of those scriptures that refer to that. It's not many, all right? But there's a hidden prophecy that we're going to decode, and it is going to put you all right in the Bible story.
Mm.
You will be able to see yourself doing what you're doing now in the Bible. Family, our ancestors were divine. They weren't human like that. When we go back far enough, they are the titans, the gods that produced the gods of this planet. And they have mapped this thing out from beginning to end, from A to Z, from Aleph to Tav. That's why they say from Alpha to Omega.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, Matthew 16. Then charged he his disciples that they should tell no man that he was Jesus the Christ. That means divine, that his true nature was divine. From that time forth began Jesus to show unto his disciples how he must go unto Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed and be raised again, Malkiel,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the third day. The third day.
Mm-hmm.
That is the third yom, or the third heaven beyond the astral plane, which consists of the first two yomim. We just went over that scripture. The
Mm-hmm.
second day, after 2 days, he will revive us. In the third day, he will raise us up. Same story in Matthew as it relates
Mm-hmm.
to Yeshua or Jesus. And Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, Be it far from thee, Lord. This shall not be unto thee. Now, this is what is happening with some of us. This survival imperative, the fight or flight instinct of the universe, of the ego, is kicking in. It wants to protect itself, but it's going to have to die.
Yes.
That
Yes.
human aspect has got to die. It's got to be sloughed off, like the
Mm-hmm.
serpent's skin. All right? Did anybody look at that video that Bakuria sent me and that I sent to everyone? If not, You need to look at it. By the way, again, Toda Rabah Bukuria,
Okay, Toda.
because that was an excellent video. But as it relates to the serpent, because we're going to get to it, I want to take a look at another video, and just a small portion here, where it is talking about its title, The Battle of Earth and Your Soul. In Key versus Enlil, the eagle versus the serpent. The eagle versus the serpent. And Bakuria, this is what came up after I looked at finished watching the video that you sent me. And I know you're moving around, brother. You don't necessarily have to respond. I'm just addressing you and giving you your propers for introducing this. So this is the other video. Please look at the one that we sent out yesterday. But listen to this as it relates to the serpent.
Now, let me ask you before we get started, because the serpent has been talked about for thousands of years, and it is considered by many cultures to be knowledge and nothing evil at all. And with the research that you have done, have you compiled that same synopsis?
That's exactly what we're going to kind of come to as a conclusion here. Really, what we see is an inversion of everything.
He said an inversion of everything.
Yes.
Because we've only understood the serpent relative to what? The programming of the simulated reality. And we've understood it or misunderstood it as something that was evil, something that was satanic, something that was demonic.
Especially the things that really matter, the things that are important. And when we start to look at what really is the case based on evidence and hard truths, looking at cuneiform tablets and a lot of these ancient writings that have been left from pre-religion, we can find that the serpent is nothing like we think it is. The serpent and the dragon have been extremely misrepresented, and there's a reason behind that. And so the very reason behind how that's been misrepresented is because of.
Okay, we'll stop that right there. But these individuals, this is why I wrote the document prior to all of this, the foundational document. I believe everybody should have gotten it. I believe everybody did get it. The serpent didn't lie. The serpent didn't lie. And indeed, Yedidya, I believe, referred to that, or one of the sisters, I can't recall, on one call referred to that document because it is foundational. And we have to get rid of this spookism and this fear that is associated, Malkia, with all of our symbols. They have been demonized.
Yes.
And for very specific reasons. And those videos there, they go into pretty good detail. The information is accurate. And when he talked about the cuneiforms, when he talked about the ancient writings and the ancient tablets, those are the things that I was able to access and to begin to represent the serpent and have an understanding that that is not deceptive, that brings it to its former glory and the ancient understanding. And this is very important because in the Bible, the serpent and the Jesus figure are what? Correlated. The serpent was lifted up where? In the wilderness again, and was saying that the Son of Man must be lifted up above the earth as the serpent was lifted up. This doesn't have to do with no historical figure named Jesus, no historical figure named Moses, no historical event. This has to do with something that we must do, that we must correct
Mm-hmm.
in our understanding,
Mm-hmm.
that our ancestors left this for us to what? Solve these paradoxes. That's a paradox. How is the serpent going to be evil in the Bible and then be correlated to who we esteem to be the greatest man to ever walk the earth? Makia, don't make no sense.
Mm-hmm. No, no,
We
sir.
obviously have not understood the difference between the simulated reality and the purpose of that and the organic reality and the necessity of that to reconnect with. So this is the survival imperative kicking in. But he turned, verse 23, and said unto Peter, get thee behind me, Satan. Thou art an offense unto me, for thou savorest not the things of God or divinity, but those that be of men, humans, servants, workers. Then said Jesus unto his disciples, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. For whosoever shall save his life shall lose it, and whosoever shall lose his life for my sake shall find it. For what is a man profited if he gain the whole world, lose his own soul? Skipping ahead, he says, there be some standing here which shall not taste death till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Coded words, but we're going to make sense of it. Now, you all remember the fall of man, where the man was cursed and said he was taken out of the ground, that is, he was taken from dust, and dust he would return. That's Genesis 3:19, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Zeke pointed out that in verse 20, Adam called his wife's name Eve or Kava because she was the mother of all living. So if she was the mother of all living and Adam was living as well, who was his mother? This is talking about the divine feminine. We can't figure this out
Mm-hmm.
using human logic and reasoning.
Right, right.
We
Right.
have to know that these are energetic principles.
Mm-hmm.
But the divine feminine was what? In this same chapter, put under the masculine, which what? Creates the simulated reality. Is that not true?
Okay.
Okay.
So it says in Genesis 2:7 that the Lord formed a man of the dust. That's that word afar,
Mm-hmm.
of the ground, that is, of the earth, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and he became a living soul. Now, this has to do with creation. And I've put the explicated um, version of the verse from the concordance to let you see that this word dust is H6083, the word afar. All right. But as we navigate through the scriptures, family, we're getting ready to close. Genesis 3:16, I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, the dust of the earth, the dust of the ground. Y'all seeing this?
Mm-hmm.
But as we go forth and navigate through this, Genesis 15 says to Abram, when he talks about his heir, remember I said the heir would not be a human under the solar system. Do y'all remember me saying that?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Gang.
So Abram said to Lord God, what will you give me, seeing I go childless? And the steward, meaning the heir of my house, is Eleazar of Damascus. And Abraham said, behold, to me thou hast given no seed. And lo, one born in my house is mine heir. And behold, the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, this shall not be thine heir, but it shall come forth out of thine own bowels shall be thine heir. And he brought him forth abroad and said, look now toward heaven and tell the stars. That means means to count the stars, like a teller would count the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, so shall thy seed be, not from the earth, but from where? From the stars. Shall not be an earth man, like the scripture says, was the first Adam, but will be what? The man of heaven, the second Adam. Are y'all hearing me?
Mm-hmm.
And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram. And lo, an horror of darkness fell upon him. Bringing this home, family. And he said to Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them. And they shall afflict them for how long? 400 years. The 400 years will be over from 1619. It's a date that me and Nasik are always emphasizing. So we're coming right upon the end of that 400-year cycle, family, in what? 2019. You cannot calculate that from the East. You must calculate that from the perspective of the West. And also the nation whom they shall serve will I judge. And afterwards, they're going to come out with great substance, their inheritance. Is this consistent?
Gang.
Genesis 22, and the angel of the Lord came unto Abraham out of heaven the second time, and said, by myself I have sworn, saith the Lord, for because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, that in blessing I will bless thee, in multiplying I will multiply thy seed, what? As the stars of heaven, not as the dust of the earth, but as the stars of heaven. Do y'all see where the switch is? And as the sand upon the seashore, and thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemy. Now, again, that is Judah. And the Lord appeared unto him and said, go not down into Egypt, dwell in the land which I shall tell thee of. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee and bless thee. For unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abram thy father, and I will make thy seed to multiply as what? Not as the dust of the earth, but as what? The stars of the heavens. Now, going forward, we've established that. And Abraham said, Behold, I have taken up to speak unto the Lord, which am but dust and ashes. That's the word afar. And the Lord God said unto the serpent, Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. Fast forwarding ahead to Isaiah 65:25. Now this is in the not the simulated reality where everything eats everything. It is in what? The cosmic reality where what? The wolf and the lamb feed together. The lion eating straw like the bullock. And yet and still, dust shall be the serpent's meat. They shall not hurt or destroy in all my holy mountain, saith the Lord. Now, we did this yesterday, family. Watch this. I was playing Joni Mitchell before we got on. Anybody was on the class familiar with Joni Mitchell?
Okay.
One of my favorite artists, and has a divine talent. In the song that she wrote in 1970 about the Woodstock concert, she had this verse in there. We are stardust, we are golden, and we've got to get ourselves back to the garden. Next verse. We are stardust, billion-year-old carbon. We are golden, caught in the devil's bargain, and we've got to get ourselves back to the garden. We are billion-year-old carbon. Who is she singing about, family?
Us.
Talking about us. Can't be talking about them. They're not older than 8,000 years old. We are billion-year-old carbon. So I put in after our class yesterday, and we're closing within the next 10, 15 minutes, if you can bear with me. But I had to set this up. I put in, after family, I went and searched out these scriptures to put them in order for you, according to the prophetic framework, what we just did. And I got to this verse, the serpent shall eat dust as his food, and dust shall be the serpent's food or meat. Dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. I put in eating stardust. And this article came up. Now, this is not the article that I saw first. I saw this article last. And I'm going to present the first article last and the last article first. And you'll see why. This is the abstract of this article that was present on this website under the heading Eating Stardust, the Future of Food and Agriculture. Now, they are going to send me, hopefully, the full text of the printed article. But this is the abstract. there is an inherent tension between human impact, that is the product of the size of the human population, people's level of food consumption, and the technology used to produce food, and the ability of the environment to supply food, the human carrying capacity. Now, at the outset, and long time ago, before we even read this article, we pointed out by the prompting of the ancestors that this system was what? That it was inefficient. Scientists are realizing this now. So I put in the article, Eating Stardust. The zone, quote unquote, is the place where human impact overlaps the carrying capacity, either for a given location or for the whole planet. Nasik has presented us with an option to this. Eat less. Look, intermittent fasting. It is connected with everything that we've been talking about. Here, this article comes out that I accessed yesterday. The way in which we understand and respond to the zone, listen, depends on basic assumptions about one, natural resources, and human nature. What have we been talking about? Human nature is just what we've been accustomed to. Under what? The simulated reality of the solar system, which this article is saying is inefficient. And it has created a crisis. And it is at the core of defining and solving the food crisis. We already got the basics of doing that. We've already got the knowledge of that, family. Y'all got to see this.
Okay.
This is illustrated using a calculation of human carrying capacity based on water needed to grow rice to provide what? Calories for the human population. What are calories? But a measure of the unit of energy that we said was inefficient. You're only getting 1% of solar energy. It is an inefficient system. Now they are trying to solve it from a scientific standpoint. We are solving the paradox through a cosmic standpoint, through knowledge. We already got the solution. Then the first article came up, I put last, and we'll close on this. It says, eating stardust is good for you. Eating stardust is good for you. And it begins here. As for the mitochondria and keeping up their numbers and performance, you could turn to PQQ. Let me explain. Now, the mitochondria we have focused on recently, talking about and stating that it is from the female that you get the what? Mitochondrial DNA, correct?
Okay.
This is key. Today, scientists recognize mitochondrial dysfunction as the key biomarker of aging. Y'all got to hear this. To take one instance, researchers have recorded evidence of 50% more mitochondrial damage in the brain cells of humans over 70, they mean 70 years of age, compared to middle-aged individuals. Now, if y'all remember that Nasik, when he began to teach on this, he was talking about neurogenesis and what? The creation of new brain cells. And he told us,
Right.
he gave us the difference between the mind and consciousness, correct?
Okay.
And we pointed out that the mind was only necessary to do what? Navigate through the simulated reality.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about the
Mm-hmm.
necessity and the urgency to move out of the mind into consciousness, fully into consciousness. Now, family, the next move, as you'll see, is outside of the solar reality into the cosmic reality.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of this, from solar energy to stellar energy or cosmic energy or stardust. Mitochondrial dysfunction and death are now definitely linked to the development of virtually all killer diseases of aging, from Alzheimer's to type 2 diabetes to heart failure, and of course, metabolically unhealthy obesity. Aren't these some of the things that Malkiel people are transitioning from?
Absolutely.
Vegans in the kingdom,
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
those
Mm-hmm.
individuals that in the ninth chapter of Genesis, no, I'm sorry, in the 107th Psalm, said that they abhor meat, yet that they're in the gates of death. They abhor all manner of meat, yet draw nigh to the gates of death.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go, family.
Mm-hmm.
The good news is that mitochondrial dysfunction can be reversed. See, we must understand that mitochondria comes from the divine feminine, comes from the feminine. And the feminine has been what? Put under the masculine.
Mm-hmm.
So in the symbiote, if you're still connected to that system, that's been what?
Right.
Flipped upside down, you can't help but die.
Come on.
I don't
Come
care
on,
what you,
Eitai.
if your mind, if you are still in mind and your attention is focused on the solar system, you're not gonna make it. The scientific literature is now filled with studies documenting the therapeutic power of CoQ10 to boost mitochondrial health and bioenergetic capacity. So, this is what we were talking about. The synthesis of energy. That's what bioenergetic means. The synthesis of energy within the body, within the body. She goes on to say the new kid on the block is an enzyme called is called, I'm sorry, the new kid on the block is an enzyme called coenzyme pyrroloquinoline quinone, or PQQ for short. Listen to what this is, family. We ask what a God eats. It's being answered. Actually, when I say new kid, I am way wrong. PQQ is present in interstellar stardust. What does a God eat, family?
Stardust.
What does a serpent eat?
Stardust.
What does a serpent eat? Dust.
Dust.
Mm-hmm.
The serpent
Mm-hmm.
stands for wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
That galaxy, Malkiel, was called the wise galaxy. That is
Yes.
what? Shooting that stardust to Earth.
Dust. Mm-hmm. Back to Earth.
And this has led some experts to hypothesize a pivotal role for PQQ, listen, in the evolution of life on Earth. It's going to be essential to your ascension.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, Malkiel, that is the ascension.
Yes. Okay.
moving from the third heaven into the subsequent higher heavens, or higher realms of thought, higher realms of consciousness. I am reminded of the words of the Woodstock song lyric, "We are stardust, we are golden, we are billion-year-old carbon." That cannot be talking about anybody but us on this call.
Right.
PQQ has been found in all planet species tested to date. I want us to pay very close attention to what's getting ready to be said right now. PQQ has been found in all plant species tested to date. Now, we've been eating, family, and tell me if I'm wrong, with our minds focused on the solar energy
Yes.
that we get from
Mm-hmm.
eating plants.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't even know it was no stardust.
Right. Mm-hmm.
As a man thinketh, what? So is he.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
As attention goes, energy
Energy
flows.
flows. Mm-hmm.
So now we switch our attention off the solar units of energy onto what? The cosmic units of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Stardust. So you ain't even eating vegetables like that, family.
Right.
You're eating stardust.
Stardust. Yes.
Y'all got to hear me.
okay.
This what a God eats. We're closing. This next portion is important. Listen, family. It says neither humans. I'm going to pause right there.
Right. Come on.
Nor bacteria that colonize the human digestive tract
Mm-hmm.
have demonstrated the ability to synthesize it. What does that
Only
mean?
God, only
It's not
divine can
no
synthesize.
food for humans.
Mm-hmm.
Only a
Mm-hmm.
God can synthesize stardust.
Mm-hmm.
The serpents, people, the Nagas, they were the gods of this planet. Those are our ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
Naga is related to the word nigga.
Mm-hmm. Come on, shows.
They wasn't doing nothing but calling us by our names. But we didn't recognize it what? In the simulated reality.
Yes.
This is why they had to do all these laws and all these rituals for niggas. We ain't human like that. They recognize that. But
Mm-hmm.
we keep acting like that, like humans. We eat like that. We walk like that. We move like that. We think like humans. We got to make this transition. It is the
Mm-hmm.
third day. Actually, it's beyond the third day.
No doubt.
We got to make this transition from thinking that we are humans to understanding who and what we really are. Humans cannot synthesize this, but yet and still they say this has led researchers to qualify PQQ as a central micronutrient. Well, why, if humans can't digest it and synthesize, this information is for you,
Yes. Yes.
gods.
Mm-hmm.
But perhaps the best news of all is that PQQ promotes the growth, listen, of new mitochondria.
Oh man.
In one study published in the Journal of
I'm
Nutrition.
waiting on.
Go ahead.
Different cut. I got a different cut.
In one study published in the Journal of Nutrition, researchers fed mice a diet supplemented with PQQ, and the test animals grew a staggering number of new mitochondria in just how long, family?
8 weeks.
8 weeks.
There's that 8. There's that 8.
There go the 8 again.
Yes.
I can't make this up. Well, I did make it up. Let me stop saying that. I did make it up. We created this.
Yes.
That's a very powerful anti-aging capacity indeed. PQQ is truly stardust come to earth for us.
Wow.
Now here's
Wow.
the good news. Here's the good news now. You can get PQQ from the Life Extension Foundation. But a better idea might be to get a supply from Dr. Al Sears' Ultra Axel, which combines COQ10 and PQQ in one easy capsule. Now, this is from an article called We Are Stardust, We Are Golden, We Can Beat Obesity, posted recently by Professor Keith. Guess what my Jake name is?
Keith.
Absolutely. Guess what my nickname is? They call me the doctor.
Professor.
They call me the doctor. They call me Doc on the street.
Wow.
We cannot make, well, I'm gonna stop saying that. We did do this.
Right.
We did
Yes.
do it.
Yes.
If we don't see this and we don't understand the position that we're in and the power that we have, I want to talk to the sisterhood just as we close. Please keep blessing us. You all have the power to bring this stuff forth. This is why you manifested here. Continue to bless us. Continue to command these things into existence. We don't have to tell you what the intent is to get our inheritance back.
Yes.
Okay.
Continue to call this thing forth. We're going to focus on that and the power of the sisterhood. Let me tell y'all, if we do what we're supposed to do, look, eye has not seen, ear has not heard, nor has the heart imagined
Yes.
the type of life that we're going to be living. We already live.
Yes.
We already live it if you're connected with us.
No question.
And the way that we are bringing these things forth into reality as it relates to this knowledge, what for? To continue puffing ourselves up with knowledge? No, to apply this.
Yes.
And to start manifesting our wealth, our inheritance, our health, shalom into reality.
Okay. Absolutely.
So with that, I'm going to end it with wholeness, family. Sisters, continue to bless us. Continue to start to speak and command these. Don't ask. You don't have to ask for nothing.
Yes.
Command it.
Command it. Absolutely.
Command it. That's where we're at. And so we're going to end here and ask if there are any questions or comments.